U.S. President Joe Biden's warning on weapons supplies has sparked outrage in Israel. The American leader threatened to withhold military support if Israel proceeds with a major operation into Rafah. Even so, Tel Aviv has rolled more tanks into the Gazan city and opened fire on the eastern outskirts. Israel's foreign minister has vowed to continue to fight Hamas until it is destroyed. The Israeli ambassador to the UN said America's decision to pause some weapons deliveries will significantly impair the country's ability to fulfill its military goals. U.S. Defense Chief Lloyd Austin earlier said one shipment has been withheld after Israel failed to answer to U.S. concerns over the offensive into Rafah. On the ground, Israel has kept up tank and aerial attacks in Rafah in what the military calls targeted raids. The IDF took control of the Palestinian side of the Rafah crossing this week after issuing evacuation orders for parts of the city. The UN Agency for Palestinian Refugees reports that about 80,000 people have fled Rafah since Israel intensified operations in the city. UNRWA also reiterated that nowhere in that enclave is safe. With crossings closed and aid deliveries on pause, concerns are mounting over the fate of more than 1 million Palestinians seeking refuge in Rafah. And more, Sarah Coates joins us live from Tel Aviv. Sarah, how big of an impact would this pause in the supply of arms, would that have on Israel's war efforts?
Hello there, Wei Su. We certainly can expect a fairly significant impact given that the United States is Israel's largest arms supplier. It's worth some $3.8 billion annually. Now, there is a lot of concern here on the ground among Israeli officials. Still no comment from the Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu in relation to this, but he has called a war cabinet meeting for a little later on this evening. Now, Israeli officials have been speaking to Hebrew media. They are reportedly very worried that Israel may actually now have to change its tactics down inside the Gaza Strip, with real reports of fear as to just how these military operations will go ahead in the future and the preparedness now, given that more weapons may be withheld. Now, we are hearing more reaction from inside Israel. The far-right National Security Minister, Itamar Ben-Gvir, he posted on X a couple of hours ago, Hamas loves Biden. Now, this is being slammed by the opposition leader, Yair Lapid, who is now calling on Netanyahu to fire Itamar Ben-Gvir, saying that he is a national security risk and puts at risk every Israeli and every soldier. So certainly the fallout is starting to be seen here in Israel, but we will know more on how Israel plans on dealing with this a little later this evening. Wei Su.
Sarah, just before we crossed to, we were looking at the situation on the ground in Rafah. So we've got tank and aerial strikes and shelling as well. How different is what we're seeing right now with what Mr. Biden has warned Israel against carrying out, which is a full-scale assault in Rafah?
Well, it seems as though this incursion has already begun, Wei Su, just on a smaller scale. What we are looking at potentially are more targeted raids. The IDF also announced yet another operation inside Gaza earlier this morning. This will be in the central part of the Strip. It says that it's destroying terror infrastructure and also eliminating terrorists. So what we are seeing are more sort of pinpoint operations. But this, of course, is having a massive impact on the ground. Already some 80,000 Palestinians have moved from the eastern part of Rafah to other areas in the Strip. That's according to aid agencies. And with regards to humanitarian aid getting in, this is a real issue. We do know that the Rafah border crossing remains closed, of course, due to these military operations ongoing there. The Kerem Shalom crossing, we do understand, is open, but no more aid is getting through. And just quickly on top of that, there have been a number of protests, hundreds of people down in the southernmost city of Eilat today, blocking trucks coming from Jordan. But one last thing, this ship that was loaded up with aid in Cyprus and the port of Larnaca, it is now on its way to this temporary port built by the United States. Still no timeline, though, on when that'll arrive.
All right, thanks. Sarah Coates reporting live from Tel Aviv.